You take a look at this right now, Howie. The AFC East remains interesting. Miami gets a win, their seventh this season, and every time you try and write New England off, it wasn't pretty, but they get a game like today.
Yeah, and they've been in a lot of close football games. You saw Cam's numbers. Cam's numbers were, it's like we're commenting on, Cam doesn't look like Cam. He looks uncomfortable in this offense, but I think the kind of calling card for this New England team is their run game and to play solid defense and to play smart and keep games close. And that's their formula, and it worked today.
Yeah, they did what they had to do. It was an ugly. Let's talk about ugly wins, a pugnacious win, like where you look back, you just want to burn the tape after the game. But they end up winning, and I give credit to a guy like Bill Belichick. Arizona's usually pretty good in the red zone, but they weren't able. That first half, there was a drop pass by Christian Kirk, and then they couldn't get in from 4th and 1, and that ultimately came back to bite them in the butt in that second half.
Any reason? Go ahead.
I mean, the hit, on Cam that pushed him in the field goal position. He was in. I mean, that could have gone either way.
Was it helmet to helmet or was it out of bounds?
I think that's more or less what this call was, helmet to helmet instead of him being inbounds.
Yeah.
But what'd you say, pugnacious? As far as I go, atrocious. I don't go pugnacious. That's a little too deep for me. But this is the formula of the Patriots, as we said before. Even with Tom Brady, even though his numbers never quite look like Cam today in the win, they do what they need to do to win. But how many times can you depend on the defense? Because they did a great job today going against Kyler Murray. I mean, this guy is dynamic, and they were able to stop him. I mean, just keeping him in front, not letting him get out and get the corner. And that was a masterful job by this defense that I did not necessarily see this coming on.
Tony talked about it. They have had issues with mobile quarterbacks. And this guy's as mobile a quarterback as you're going to find. As we mentioned in the pregame, he runs a 4-3. And for them to bottle him up there, and I'm not sure he's quite healthy.
With the shoulder especially. Should you get worried if you're an Arizona Cardinals fan right now? Because they've lost 2 in a row now. They lost to Seattle, then today. Their last win actually was on the Hail Mary against Houston.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you take a look at this right now. I mean, against Buffalo, pardon me. Any reason to be concerned?
I think right? At least I would say yes, because they're not winning these games. They're not winning these close games. You can't always rely on the big Hail Mary play at the end of a football game. And they're right there, though. They're still a very good football team, but I'm starting to think that maybe this is the team of the future. They're going to keep adding some pieces, and they're going to be a team that's going to be good for a long, long time. But right now, they're just coming up a little too short.
Yeah, we talked about their lack of pass rush. Chandler Jones goes down, and that's a big blow. I mean, Chandler Jones had, 20 sacks last year?
Amazing player.
Amazing player. And they made the trade for Golden, and I think they need people on defense, particularly up front.
Speaking of concern, Michael, your Giants have moved into first place. We'll see what happens with Daniel Jones and that hamstring right now. But as they go forward here, the way they played the last couple of weeks, even in the games they lost, Tampa Bay and those kind of games, there's reason for hope there right now, not just for the future, but for this year as far as the playoff spot goes.
Yeah, and when you look at the Giants, watching Daniel Jones go down to hamstring, I think every Giants fan is holding their breath because he has really come on. He's really played well. He hasn't turned the ball over, which has been the big downfall for him over the course of his career with the Giants. But to see him go down with that hamstring and watch Colt McCoy come in and see the offense did not run as well with Colt McCoy, who literally hasn't been out there on that field in that real-time situation in a long time. So I don't know what you could expect from that. But you got to be encouraged by the defense.
Yes.
The defense has really stepped up. And to see the defense finish a game, to close out a game, those were the games that the Giants were losing earlier in the season, up by 2 with over a minute to go and not being able to stop somebody and losing by 1. But to see them close out today was a good sign for all the Giants fans.
It's a culture change there, and you can see it.
Yeah.
And the head coach, there were some questions. Well, who is this guy? Why are we hiring a special teams coach from New England? He's a difference maker, as is the coach down in Miami.
But also with Mark Colombo, the offensive line coach, being let go during the bye week. I mean, it's just so much going on there. You didn't know how the offensive line was going to respond to that. Yeah. But a little bit of turmoil there, but they worked their way through it this week.
And they buy into it, too. That's what Judge is saying. Because you see a lot of those New England coaches, they try to bring Bill Belichick.
We just saw it this week in Detroit.
And it doesn't work. Yeah, like Matt Patricia.
This week in Detroit.
And then when he gets fired, you see the players were kind of happy. Like, see you later. Go on, get out of here. But Joe Judge is different. They're just like the guy down in Miami. I think they said, hey, we're going to take what we learned in New England, but we're also going to keep true to who we are. And I think that's ultimately when you're going to have the best success.
I think Joe Judge humanized himself to the player jumping in the mud to recover the fumble. All these things that, as you said, you have to be yourself. And I think one of the things, I was talking to one of the coaches there with the Giants, and he said, we talked to him when he first got there, for 2 hours and learned more from him in those 2 hours than we had learned the previous 2 years before. And another thing is, he doesn't try to do what I think a lot of these coaches do with the system they take from Bill Belichick, where they try to fit the player and say, it's our system. It's not you, the player. I think he understands you got to work your system around the players that you have. Have a system. You got to make sure you have the right ball players to make it work.
The young coaches that have come out of New England recently, Mike Vrabel is a really good football coach. We saw that again today, and they've suddenly taken that division over again. And Flores has been great down in Miami. We saw it last year. People thought they were going to tank for Tua, and Tua ends up falling to them in the draft anyway. But that culture they built in the second half of the year last year carried over to this year.
I think the key for all three of those guys you mentioned, Vrabel, Flores, and now it looks like Judge, they came in and they were themselves rather than trying to replicate Bill Belichick and all that. The guys who tried that haven't succeeded. The guys who are just themselves, so far, so good. You don't usually see hugs and backslaps to a quarterback who lost by 28 points, but you know what?
Yeah.
Good job by that
Why
kid.
not?
Kendall Hinton. You got to feel for him. Only completed one pass, but he can always, the rest of his life, say he started an NFL game, completed a pass. This was an impossible situation for the Broncos as the Saints get the 31-3 win. Tony Gonzalez here with Kurt Menefee. And this is one where, once again, you don't want to overstate it because of the situation with Denver. But here in New Orleans, they just keep on winning. They've now won 8 in a row, 9-2 best record in the NFC.
Yeah, and that's obviously without Drew Brees being there. He's been out of the lineup. But that just tells me, I think this team is the best team in the NFL. When your starting Hall of Fame quarterback goes out and it seems like you just don't miss a beat, and you can change the offense up. The offense isn't what it was with Drew Brees. I think Taysom Hill, he's come in and played well. He's been able to adapt to his playing style. He runs the ball. That's what he does. And if they can play good defense the way they have, and that defense has been coming on and playing one of the best in the NFL, if not the best over the last month, this is, to me, right now, one of the best teams, if not the top team in the NFC.
You take a look at Taysom Hill's numbers here. 9 of 16 passing, only 78 yards. Still no touchdown passes in his career, but he does run for 2 more. They get a big game from Latavius Murray, his first 100-yard game of the year. Is this the way the Saints can have success even when Brees comes back? Not necessarily 78 yards passing, but leaning on the run game.
I think you can. It's always been going through Alvin Kamara, but today getting Latavius Murray to run the ball the way he did today, 19 carries, 124 yards. He's a big back, big power back. What a great compliment for Kamara when all this comes together, when Drew does get back. This is what I'm talking about. This is that. First of all, the Saints have been good for the last couple of years. They've been snake bitten, had some bad calls in the playoffs. They're a team that you easily could say could have won the Super Bowl the last couple of years, and they're continuing right where they left off. And it seems like they're getting better. They're playing good football right now.
And look, there's still several weeks left in the season right now. They're at 9-2, so 5 games left. But this could be important because only one team will get a bye this year. And New Orleans right now on pace to be that team as they get the win once again. Latavius Murray, 124 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns.
Download the all-new Fox Sports app now.